So, is there anything more present and happy to be here than Stephen Hawking and Zero G? And can there be any greater poetry than Stephen Hawking slipping the surly bonds of gravity when Hawking himself for 20 years held the same chair once held by none other than Sir Isaac Newton, the first of our kind to formulate a meaningful theory of how gravity works? I take attendance at the top of my creativity class at USF each week, and when I call each student's name, I make them respond with an enthusiastic, present, and happy to be here. Because as my friend Professor Swagler has pointed out, if you do the math on world poverty and starvation, you conclude that at any given moment, there are probably more than 1 million people in the world who would gladly kill you in order to take your place. Because life is about the paths we choose to walk down. And if you can't say you're fully present and happy to be here, then you should go choose another path. This is as true for society as it is for the individual. What choices should we make in order to live long and prosper? I'm personally convinced that the universe is teeming with life, and someday the aliens will land, and when they do, they won't care much about our technology. If they can master interstellar travel, they probably won't be terribly impressed by the iPhone 6S. What they will judge us by is our culture. They will care about our art, about our stories. They will want to know about our capacity for love and whether or not we attend gracefully to the weak and infirm among us. Is it so bizarre to think that they will be auditioning us, either for admittance into the galactic ranks of mature, responsible civilizations or as a cancer to be destroyed? They will care about the path we're on. They will want to examine our dreams. Ah, yes, our dreams. To sleep, perchance to dream. There's the rub. Can you imagine what it would be like if you had absolute control of everything that happened in your dreams every night? If you could simply wish for something and then dream about it in high fidelity, you'd be a god. When you discovered you had this power, you would probably spend weeks or months engaging in all manner of hedonistic debauchery. No pleasure would be unattainable to you. But after a time, you would probably grow bored with that. So you'd try other things like jumping off cliffs and firing yourself out of cannons. But eventually you'd grow bored with even that. Why? Because a world of absolute control lacks the element of surprise. When you control everything, when you're omniscient, there's nothing to shock or amaze you. So at some point you would design a dream in which you would enforce a sort of amnesia on yourself. So you could forget that you were God. So that you would not know what comes next on the path. So that you could be surprised. You would effectively play hide and seek with yourself. Every night you would dream the dreams of surprise and amazement. Is that who we are? Are we just God playing hide and seek with himself? Is life but a dream? Are we all just walking a path of willful ignorance, just hoping to be surprised and amazed? Because if you really pay attention, what happens next will amaze you. Every time. At its most fundamental, existence is just chock full of clickbait. The universe made itself into you. 14 billion years ago, it was a cloud of hydrogen, and today it's you. Why aren't you more amazed by that? I'll tell you why. It's because you're too busy paying attention to your own mind. Your mind is like the NASA control room, full of sound and fury, with a multitude of voices clamoring for your attention. I wonder if that person likes me. My bank account is overdrawn. Did I leave the iron on? And in the back of it all sits you, desperately trying to take it all in and make sense of it. It's hard to be amazed at the beauty and poetry of life when you're constantly distracted by the ravings of the lunatics in your head. Fear is the universal language of your psyche. Fear is such a constant motivator in our lives that if fear didn't confer the extraordinarily valuable selection advantage of preventing us from being eaten by tigers and falling off cliffs, it would clearly have constituted an evolutionary fumble of epic and tragic proportions. It is the master of fear and anger who is in control, who is free to be amazed at life. Like the author of this enso, this calligraphic circle that is traditionally hand-drawn in one or two uninhibited brushstrokes to express a triumphant moment when the mind is free to let the body create. A present and happy mind is one that is unburdened by fear. Two monks were walking through the forest when they came upon a princess fretting and complaining because she could not cross a stream without getting wet. The elder monk walked over, picked her up, carried her across, and set her down on the other side. Instead of thanking him, the princess walked off in a huff. The monks continued on their path for a while, until finally the younger monk blurted out, "Master, that girl was so rude she didn't even thank you for helping her." To which the elder replied, "I put her down 10 minutes ago. Why are you still carrying her?" When you step before a mirror, it reflects you without evaluating who you are or filtering its reflection of you through its preconceived notions. A mirror simply reflects your image. Because we are so fearful, we evaluate everything and we attempt to assess whether it will eat us. Which brings up the thorny question of the 5-pound hunk of jelly right behind your face. The brain is the hardware on which the mind operates. The brain is made of matter, and like all things made of matter, the brain is subject to the laws of physics. But the trouble, you see, is that the laws of physics are really very strange at the subatomic level. At this level, nothing really exists in the classical sense. Subatomic particles like electrons and photons are merely probable to exist, unless they are interacting in some way with a conscious observer. Let me restate, the particles that make up you and me and all that we can see don't really come into being unless someone, some sentient human being, is paying attention to them. We can test this to prove it's true. If you shine a light at 2 slits, you get one result when you know which slit the photon passes through, and you get another result when you don't know which slit the photon passes through. When we look at it, reality chooses its own path. Using photosynthesis, every leaf on every tree turns sunlight into food with near perfect efficiency. How? When a photon of energy enters a cell, it must be transferred around until it reaches a reaction center. And there are a multitude of paths that the photon can take to get where it needs to be. It turns out that the photon actually travels down all the paths simultaneously and then retroactively chooses the one that was the most efficient. Alas, if only reality at the level of day-to-day human interaction permitted that level of take-backsies. If only we could try every path simultaneously and then go back and choose the one that turned out to be the best. Or perhaps the better claim is to let ourselves be content with the path that we're on. It's okay to be amazed. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the whole show. If you're going to be amazed at anything, now's the time. We all, like Robert Frost, shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took them both, like a photon. And I am now president and happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Jeff.